A former chess prodigy from China has been banned for 6 months after losing 13 consecutive games over 2 tournaments and dropping 400 ELO points in a year. All right, you guys, so we are back. We have an article from chess.com. It's written by J. Svensson, and it's titled Fide bans former Chinese chess prodigy for sandbagging. So here we go. The article is by Tarjay, and it starts with a former chess prodigy from China has been banned for 6 months after losing 13 consecutive games over 2 tournaments and dropping 400 ELO points in a year. Oh, wow. Okay, that's kind of impressive, isn't it? That's actually really impressive. 400 points in a year. I mean, I've had bad days, but 400 points over the board in a year is kind of crazy. Okay, Fide has frequently investigated cases of suspected use of computer assistance, but sanctions for sandbagging, intentionally losing games, are highly unusual at the international level. The Fide Ethics and Disciplinary Commission, EDC, announced its ruling on its website this week, marking what is likely the first instance of a player being sanctioned by the chess governing body for this form of cheating. 36-year-old Li Haoyu from Tianjin in northern China was found guilty of breaching Article 11.7 of the Fide Code of Ethics, which prohibits conduct likely to prejudice the integrity of the game of chess or the good reputation of the game. So someone in chat asked a good question. They said, what is sandbagging? Sandbagging is when you lower your rating below what it should be. So for example, if I go on chess.com and let's just say I lose 100 games in a row, my rating goes down to 2,800. That's not where my rating should be. That is what constitutes sandbagging. Sandbagging is a technical term. Smurfing is another term, which kind of, I guess you could use in the same way. But basically, it just means that you're trying to get your ranking or your rating to a level where it's well below what it should be. What's the point though, IRL? I don't know. Maybe he got paid money to lose the games. Maybe he just didn't care and he's like, okay, screw chess, I don't want to play chess anymore or something. Like, I don't really know why you would do it. But I will say this is not something super new. In the United States of America, there's this tournament called the World Open, and in the old days it was very commonplace that the players who were playing for the underprize would try to keep their rating below a certain level. Basically IRL means over the board in-person chess, and because the grand prize, I remember my brother played in the under 2200 section, which is master level. The grand prize was something like $20,000. so a lot of players, if they had crossed 2200, they would try to get the rating just below it and keep it like 2190 or something, but they were actually like 2250 or 2300, so they wanted the cold hard money, or cold hard cash, I should say. So that's the most common example. It was very commonplace when I was younger. As it related to the World Open specifically, there were always some players. I remember, I think there was someone who played in the I want to say under 1400, and they were actually a 2400 rated player, but because they played in one of the stands or like one of the former Russian republics, they didn't have a rating in the US, so they were able to play in the under 1400 section, and they were able to win the prize even though they were like 2400 strength. So it's not completely new, but in this example I'm a little bit confused. How's it going, Denial Naroditsky? Denial Naroditsky? Oh, that's a different one, sorry. Anyway, but basically it was very common in the US that this happened around a very specific tournament called the World Open. But in terms of losing 13 games in a row, I don't actually understand why you would do it. So it says, Li set alarm bells ringing when he lost 13 consecutive games over the course of 2 international tournaments in China in August 2024, dropping a total of 138 rating points to a career low of 1979. This guy's a GM, right? Let me scroll up. Is this guy a GM? Oh wait, what's this guy's title? It doesn't say what his title is, but he clearly is a titled player. So 1979. In August 2023, he was rated 2372, which means his rating had plummeted almost 400 points in just a year. That's kind of wild. 400-point drop. Li was known as a prodigy back home in China, scoring promising results in childhood. He achieved an exceptional 2393 rating as a 10-year-old in July 1999, a level that would be extraordinary at that age even today, but never received a FIDE title. He had previously won the Chinese Youth Championship under 10 twice in 98 and 99, and then the under 12 title in 2001 with a perfect 11 out of 11. Now, you know what's funny, actually? is that these are the exact years that I was playing these tournaments, but I don't remember this guy's name. So I was playing the World Youth Chess Festival in 1998, 1999, and 2000. At that time, the number one Chinese player who I played against was none other than Wang Yu, who would eventually go on to be a 2,700 plus player. So I don't actually remember this guy ever playing in the World Youth Chess Festivals, but he was 2393 when he was 10 years old. And basically now at 38, he suddenly went from being like a 2,400 player to being a 1,900. Very, very weird. Very, very weird. Internationally as well, he scored great results at an early age. He finished with 9 out of 11 in the 99 World Youth Under 10 Championship behind none other than Dmitry Andreikin, defeating future Grandmasters Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, Sergei Zhigalko, and Wang Hao. So he actually played the World Youth in Oropesa del Mar in 1999, but I don't actually remember this name. This name doesn't ring a bell, even though I played there in 99. But that's pretty funny, right? He finished second with 9 out of 11 points, and behind Andreikin, who, by the way, of course, is a 2,700 player, and he beat MVL, he beat Zhigalko, and Wang Hao. All three of these players are north of 2,650. I don't know what Zhigalko is these days, but MVL and Wang Hao crossed 2,700, obviously. Sergei Zhigalko, of course, is like 2,650 or whatever it is. So pretty impressive results, like very, very impressive. Despite showing great promise, the young talent decided to take a step away from chess to focus on his studies and only played sporadically in the next decade. He maintained a rating of around 2,300, hitting a peak of 2,395 in May of 2011. After 10 years of inactivity, he returned with a bang in 2022 by defeating 2575 rated GM Li Di in the Chinese League. It was a beautiful finish. Okay, Zhigalko is like 2572. He definitely was 2600 at some point, but this says it all. He returned after a long break and he beats a 2575. Beats a 2575. Bang, exactly. However, around a year later, it wasn't his wins that would trigger attention, but his losses. In the third China Binhai Chess Open in 2023, Li scored 3.5 out of 9 against a field of opponents who were rated 400 to 500 points lower than him. His dive continued in November when he dropped another 42 points. In 2024, he lost another 116 points by scoring 2.5 out of 9 against opponents who were all rated more than 400 points below him. Then in August in the Chinese Chess League Division B, he scored 0 out of 5, followed by 0 out of 8 in the 4th Binhai Cup. The 13 consecutive losses meant another rating drop of 138 points and now prompted a complaint by the Chinese Chess Association to Fide. The commitment is insane. Yes, the commitment is insane. 0 out of 13. I mean, that's a strong commitment to failure. Very, very strong commitment. The case was investigated by Fide's Fair Play Commission, the entity responsible for dealing with suspected case of cheating in the chess world. According to the Arbiter's report, Li hardly used any time in his game. The same report states in all the games he lost, the respondent had a substantial amount of time remaining on his clock, but failed to use it. The only two of his opponents had it notes that only 2 of his opponents had a higher ELO rating than him, and the result he obtained was inexplicably in light of his ELO rating. What are you guys saying? I mean, the guy was 2390 for 20 years, and suddenly he loses 400 points in 1 year. I mean, if the guy were like 50 or something, it's theoretically possible. The guy's not even 40. It's very hard to believe that can happen. Okay. Asked for a response to the allegations, Li claimed that his strategy was to pressure opponents on the clock, comparing himself to former world champion GM Ding Liren. My strategy has always been to apply pressure on my opponents through time management, a tactic employed by many top chess players such as Ding Liren in the world championship match. Huh? This is a good one. This is a very, very unusual explanation. Very unusual explanation. Okay. I love how they put the quote here too. They literally put the quote here. They put the quote here. This is a good one. Was it really said, or was it embedded by the writer? I mean, the writer obviously did this, but it sounds like it. Yeah. Okay, he said in a latter response to the panel that his strategy was aimed at putting pressure on his opponents, causing them to feel tense and make mistakes. He further explained, according to the decision, that in the games he lost, his opponents were able to take full advantage of the situation and convert it into a win. His lowest rated opponent during the 2 turns had a rating of 1790. That game mysteriously ended on move 40 in a position that appears equal. Okay, so he resigned. Wait, wait, I hit the forward button because I guess I have the puzzles open, but on this board, this is not a position you resign here with black against a 1790. Also, by the way, Ding Liren was using too much time against Gukesh, right? Wasn't Ding the guy who spent like an hour on a lot of opening moves? So I'm not sure that the quote seems a little bit suspicious to me, but hey, maybe he's just confusing Ding with Gukesh or something. Anyway, you should never resign this position against the 1790 with the black pieces. I think you guys see the board. No shot. In another game, he seems to have a promising position until everything just collapsed. Okay, what do you do here? Oh wait, I keep hitting forward backwards, which is, oh no, this is correct. This is correct. Okay, so let's go here. Okay, so he resigns here, or it says it all just collapsed, right? Okay, let's see. Okay, f5 is a very strange move here, but maybe not strange. Actually, f5 is not crazy because you want to free the rook. I get it. Queen a6. Okay, I mean, rook e4 is a very strong, I mean, I don't know. Actually, let me go back to this game. Let's go back here. Okay, this looks normal. I know about h3. I don't know if I would play h3, but g4. Okay, rook h1. You know what's funny about this game though is I actually feel like this game doesn't show anything. Queen d3 is a weird move, but I actually yeah, here you would go bishop d4 obviously, or rook g3 here to go rook h3, or bishop d4 to hit the pawn. But it looks like his opponent played a good game. So let's move forward. According to the decisions, Lee later failed to respond to the EDC's own inquiries and did not submit a defense in the disciplinary phase. The Fair Play Commission found his explanations illogical and concluded that intentional defeat was the only plausible explanation for his results. Professor Kenneth Regan, a renowned authority on chess cheating and advisor to the Fair Play Commission, also submitted a statistical report. Though the EDC said they chose not to base their ruling on that data, Regan had characterized Lee's results as markedly weak performance from a statistical standpoint. The verdict was not unanimous, as EDC member Khalid Arfa dissented, concluding that Lee should be found not guilty due to a lack of direct evidence. This conclusion rests upon the application of a fundamental legal principle. The benefit of doubt must always favor the accused. In this case, the respondent had not played chess for 10 years, and the only claims about his intention are speculative and unsupported by solid evidence. Such circumstances give rise to a clear material doubt, which must be resolved in the respondent's favor. So, I actually would say that, I mean, I get what someone's saying here, but the problem is when he came back in 2022, he crushed a 2575. That's the problem with it. Like, he crushed someone who's almost 2600, who's actually a good player who I've heard of. So it's, I mean, to lose 13 games in a row after you beat a nearly 2600 feels a little bit odd, to put it mildly, but let's keep going. Okay, it says, Arfa further noted that Lee had not played competitive chess between 2012 and 2022 and suggested that his 10-year absence could explain his poor form. Despite the dissent, EDC chair Ali Nihat Yazici and member Ravindra Dongre concluded that Lee did not play his games with due respect and that the evidence met the threshold for sanction. They further noted the EDC chamber acknowledges that in the sport of chess, a player may perform very poorly during a tournament for various reasons, may experience a series of losses, and such poor results may further negatively affect their overall performance. However, in this term, the chamber concludes that this cannot be the case. The 6-month ban from FIDE-rated events was effective from July 31st. Lee has the right to appeal the decision within 21 days. Chess.com has not been able to reach Lee for a comment on the story. He currently works as a coach for Chaoyu Chess Club in Tianjin, a club founded by GMs Li Chao and Wang Yu. So my general takeaway is that, I mean, to me, it looks very weird that he lost 13 games in a row. My only big concern about this is that it is a very slippery slope, because the notion of sandbagging and losing games on purpose is nothing new. And I'm wondering how FIDE is going to deal with this as it relates to tournaments in a very specific country known as Hungary and norm tournaments, because if they're willing to sort of sanction someone based off of this, what are they going to do when there are examples that are going to look very similar to this in places like Hungary? How are they going to deal with it? So overall, I mean, I think it's probably the right choice. I mean, I haven't seen all the games, to be fair. It's very unlikely to use 13 games in a row. My only concern is that what is FIDE going to do as it relates to future tournaments in Hungary? What are they going to do? Why specifically Hungary? Because there have been a lot of norm tournaments in Hungary over the year. I myself played in some tournaments way back when. I think I've even said the story on stream. There were you know, there were people willing to throw games for money. There were people willing to lose a game for it was $100 if you wanted to win. It was $50 for a draw. Obviously, I declined. I beat the unmentioned international master when I played in Hungary. But the problem is this happened 30 years ago. This still is happening. And that's my only concern is when you set a precedent like this, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when you have situations that are going to look very similar to this in norm tournaments where people are trying to become international master or grand master? I've told the story before, but this is still happening in Eastern Europe. This is not some new thing. It's been around basically for the last 60-70 years. So like I am concerned from that standpoint, because are they really just going to pretend that nothing's going on elsewhere when they see something similar versus this example? It's a little bit of a slippery slope. It's definitely a slippery slope. So that's my only concern. It's probably the correct decision, because it's very hard to see someone who is, 2,400 losing 13 games in a row, but it is what it is. He lost 13 games in a row. Let me give you an example. So there's a tournament where someone plays 6 games and makes 5 move draws, not 5 move draws, say 10 move draws, and then you play 3 games where you lose in 30 moves, and you're a 2,400 IM in a norm tournament. What are you going to do? Because that's going to look very, very suspicious. What are you going to do? Are you going to pretend that nothing's wrong? I mean, that's the problem. That's the problem with the whole situation. That's my only concern with this, is that it is a very slippery slope. Now, that's the first article we wanted to cover. We have another article which we're going to get to now, and this is also from Tarjay J. Svensson on chess.com news, and it is Christopher Yu is found guilty of harassment, receives 18-month ban. Now, I was aware of this, but I actually 18 months, is that 18 on top of the 12 he already had or not is the question. GM Christopher Yu has been handed an 18-month suspension from Fide rated events after the Fide Ethics and Disciplinary Commission EDC found him guilty of multiple violations, including harassment, psychological abuse, and inappropriate conduct toward a female player. 12 months of the ban are suspended, meaning you will serve 6 months immediately with the remainder as a probation period. Okay, so basically Christopher Yu is already under, I believe, a 12-month ban. So if there's a 6-month ban, that means it's effectively 18 months. That he's, since the incident that happened in St. Louis, I guess 2 years ago, or was it just a year and a half ago? I forgot when it was. Time passed so quickly at the US Championship. But basically it looks like, yeah, so he's already under a 12-month ban. He's going to get 6 more months, and he's going to be under a probation period where he better not do anything wrong. Any further breach during the time would trigger the full ban. The decision dated July 17th and made public this week means you can return to tournament play on January 17th, 2026. Okay, so basically, yeah, so it's about five months from now. The 18-year-old US Grandmaster, currently rated 2607 and ranked 12th among the world's top juniors, is already serving a separate 1-year global suspension until November 14th, 2025. That sanction stemmed from an incident during the 2024 US Chess Championship where Yu physically assaulted a female member of the broadcast team. He was initially banned by the US Chess Federation, a ban that was later upheld by Fide. Okay, Christopher Yu. This second disciplinary case arose from a complaint filed in May this year where a female player came forward describing multiple instances of inappropriate and unwelcome contact by the American Grandmaster during the Grenka Chess Festival in Germany and the Sardinia Chess Festival in Italy. Her claims were corroborated by multiple witnesses, and the EDC found substantial evidence to support the allegations. According to the decision, Yu repeatedly followed the complainant around the venues, attempted to kiss her, grabbed her hand without consent during a dinner, waited outside her hotel room, repeatedly knocking on the door, and published a cropped image of the two on social media in a way that implied a romantic relationship. Okay. Yeah, not particularly great. In private messages presented as evidence, Yu also made demeaning comments writing, I really shouldn't laugh at this. I need to control myself a little bit. Sorry. I shouldn't laugh at this, but sorry, I saw this next sentence. It says, I don't respect 1950 chess players. Your brain doesn't know how to move the knight, and calling himself a genius. Okay. Yikes. I don't respect 1950 chess players. So that's actually funny though. I mean, I'm gonna keep it a $1.50 here, you guys. I'm gonna keep it real for a second. I'm gonna be honest. At some point, everybody has had such thoughts related to chess about, like, you know, lower rated players not being as good as they are. Like, elitism is really a thing. Like, everybody at some point has had these thoughts in their head, even if they haven't said it out loud, about, like, you know, people being weaker than you are and they're not very good at chess. Hikaru colon, I don't respect 25 chess players. They're trash. Yes, actually, I mean, like, yeah, I think I've said something along those lines on stream. Obviously, it's jokingly, but yeah, but yeah, actually, to be honest, but yeah, saying that out loud or saying that in like a text to someone, like, is pretty bad. That's actually really bad, really bad. Because yeah, I mean, I played some 2800 online. I'm like, yeah, they're trash. This guy's garbage. He doesn't know how to play chess. He's awful. He doesn't know how the knight moves, you know. But yeah, Hikaru, time to rewatch or disrespect speedruns. But still, saying that in a text directly to someone, like, especially, yeah, it's not good. It's not good. It's not good, to put it mildly. The EDC found you guilty of violating multiple articles of the Fide Ethics and Disciplinary Code, including provisions covering harassment, psychological abuse, and sexually inappropriate behavior. Article 6.1, human dignity. Article 6.2 and 3, respect ethical conduct. 6.4, prohibition of harassment. 6.5, 6.5e, 6.5g, psychological abuse and sexually inappropriate behavior. Articles 11.9, A and D, socially unacceptable and harmful behavior. In its ruling, the EDC rejected the argument that the actions lacked intent to harm. They emphasized that harm is measured by the effect on the victim, not the perpetrator's intent. Okay. In such cases, what matters is not the harasser's intent, but the fact they repeatedly and insistently engage in conduct that causes psychological fear, discomfort, and distress to the other party, the EDC noted. Chess is a sport in which it is evident that each player can be psychologically affected by such harassment and that this can influence their performance. It is highly likely that this would have a negative psychological impact on the ability to play, especially if the person must compete in the same environment as the harasser. Okay. Fide places great importance on ensuring that all players are able to perform at the chessboard without any negative external influences and supports the establishment of all necessary conditions to achieve this. Okay. The panel also argued that Yu's actions fit the definition of sexual harassment, which is defined as unwanted and unwelcome conduct of a sexual nature, whether verbal, nonverbal, or physical. The assessment is based on whether a reasonable person in the given cultural and contextual circumstances would regard the conduct as undesirable or offensive. The EDC noted in its decision, interpreting such behavior as childish or attempting to justify it through social labels, modernity, or tolerance is not acceptable when there is a clear statement and complaint from the victim indicating that she felt disturbed. In determining whether harassment occurred, the victim's declaration that she experienced the behavior as intimidation is one of the most crucial elements. Furthermore, witness testimonies have corroborated nearly all the violations committed by the respondent. Now, you know what's wild about this, by the way, is that at this tournament, I think Christopher Yu was just dominating the event. Didn't he win this? I think this all happened at an event in Sardinia, right? I think it happened at an event in the Sardinia Chess Festival, which is crazy because the Sardinia Chess Festival, he destroyed that tournament. Didn't he go, like, I mean, no pun intended, but didn't he go like 7 out of 9 or 8 out of 9? Didn't he win the event? I could have sworn that Christopher Yu just crushed that tournament and won the event by a big margin, but maybe I'm crazy. Someone can tell me. He definitely won the tournament, but I think he won the tournament by like at least like 1 point. Like he was just like, he was on absolute fire in that turn. Again, no puns, no jokes, but like he was just crushing it from a chess perspective. So okay. Anyway, let's keep going. Yu's father and Representative Young Q Yu argued in the defense that his son's young age, cooperation, and expression of remorse should count as mitigating factors, submitting documentation of a medical condition. In an interview with German newspaper Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, the family revealed that Yu has been diagnosed with autism. Now, I myself have met Christopher, I think only like on 1 or 2 occasions. I mean, it's very clear that he's on the spectrum. So it's not surprising. It's not surprising to see this. Frankly, I would say, like, I think a lot of people who get very good at chess, I mean, the amount of concentration and focus it requires and sort of antisocial nature of chess in and of itself, it's not very surprising. It's not surprising. No, I spoke to Christopher Yu very briefly at the World Rapid and Blitz. I think was that Kazakhstan? I think it was in Almaty when I played in 2022 or 23. I forgot which year it was. And so like, I mean, he was fine. He obviously, you know, there's it's obvious there's something off with him. Like it's obvious, but like, so what? He's still a very good chess player. But that being said, obviously this is, you know, quite a step further from that. While the EDC acknowledged the diagnosis and the cooperation with the investigation, it concluded that behavior still constituted harassment regardless of intent. The panel also said it currently lacks a way to implement used proposed alternative sanctions such as supervised participation in tournaments. That actually, I'm gonna be honest, this sounds a little bit weak. You know, aside from all the general stuff, the proposed alternative sanctions, supervised participation, that actually sounds kind of weak to say there's no way to implement it. Because I feel like if he played tournaments, you could have someone there. You could have someone there. Like I would not be surprised if you could have someone just like, you know, be around him all the time. That sounds a little bit weak in terms of an explanation. Just a general aside, considering that, you know, you played a tournament, everyone's gonna be aware who's playing there. But you know, whatever. Let's keep going. Also, it's important to note, by the way, another very important point that I want to make here is that he is not yet, I believe he is still under 18 years old. He might have turned 18 recently, but I believe he is still under 18 years old. He is still a kid. He is still very young, so do keep that in mind. It's weird to have someone watching you to make sure he doesn't sexually harass a woman. I mean, yes, in a way, but I'm just saying chess tournaments are so small. Like I feel like if everybody's aware of what's going on, like, I mean, I don't know, but again, like this is their decision. That's my take. So let's keep going. While the EDC acknowledges the diagnosis and cooperation with investigation include behavior still harassment, the panel also said it currently lacks a way to implement the. Oh, I already read this. Okay. The EDC noted this is the second time that Yu has been found guilty of misconduct involving a female individual and considered his prior offense from St. Louis in 2024 as an aggravating factor in determining sanction. This is actually a very good point too, with what happened when he messed up that winning position against Fabiano, or not winning, but much better position, I should say. And then, yeah, there was that whole incident. So second offense. In a comment to chess.com, the female complainant expressed her disappointment with the ban taking effect immediately instead of being added to the previous sanction. She welcomed the recognition of Ron. Oh wow. So so the complainant was like, nah, I don't want it to be added. I don't want it to be added onto it. I want it to be on top. Oof. She welcomed the recognition of wrongdoing. This may help him understand that his behavior was far from appropriate. She had previously told chess.com that she was the victim of harassment by her chess coach as an 11-year-old and said her intention had always been to prevent future harm. I hope the decision might help prevent him from doing something irreparable later on, given his impulsive behavior patterns. Such actions could lead to far more severe legal consequences than what he's facing today. That's actually a very good point. Very true. Okay. She is also thankful for being supported by the Women in Chess Foundation, WICF, whose mission is to create a safer, more inclusive environment for women at chess tournaments. Okay, statement by the Women in Chess Foundation. You now face an extended period away from competitive chess. 12 of the 18 months of the sanction are suspended, and Yolanda Persaud, chairman of the EDC, confirmed to chess.com that you will be able to return to playing Fide tournaments on January 17th, 2026. The sanctions run concurrently, and so do the probation periods. It is important to know that the suspended sanction of 12 months will come into effect should there be another transgression of a same or similar nature, she said. The decision is subject to an appeal within 21 days. Asked for a comment, Father told chess.com that they only received the decision on August 4th. They are still studying it and seeking clarifications from Fide on some points. So Christopher Yu already was under a 12-month, I believe, ban or sanction from FIDE and the U.S. Chess Federation. Now, due to these incidents which occurred in Grenka and Sardinia, it looks like he has another 6 months added on to this ban. He will be able to play, as the statement says, on January 17th. So it's another 5 months before he can come back to the board. Now, one thing I would say that, you know, sort of a sign of the times is in the old days, this would have been catastrophic to your career, being unable to play over the board tournaments. But in this day and age, with the internet, the ability to play high level players on the internet and continue to study chess and improve your level, he should not really necessarily, from a chess standpoint, become much worse from not being able to play, because he'll still be able to study, still be able to play the online tournaments. So he will probably be quite active with the online events. So from that standpoint, I mean, his chess career, it will go on. Hopefully he learns from this. Obviously, it's 2 incidents in a very short window of time. But it's definitely sad to see. It's definitely sad to see, for sure. But you know, it's what it is. It's what it is. What's my take? Do I believe the punishment could have been more harsh? I mean, it's very tough. He's you know, we don't know the specifics. I think we're never going to know the specifics because obviously, you know, the claimant wants to remain private. You don't want names being thrown out. You don't want toxicity or people like, you know, trying to shame the girl or all that crap. Pardon my French for a second. But so we were never gonna know the specifics. We're never gonna know like how, you know, any of that sort of stuff. But I think really the thing that sinks Chris, for you in this case, is what happened in St. Louis. That I think is the problem with it. Like, if there wasn't already an incident, I think that it would have been far less severe, I think, of a punishment. Shame her, she was a victim here. You'd be surprised how the internet works, you guys. You'd be surprised how the internet works. I don't want to end up on a side tangent, but you would be surprised how the internet works. You'd be very surprised. And I don't say that in a good way. I say that in a very, very bad way. So you like, I think the fact that second time is what makes it what really dooms it. You could say maybe it's innocent, maybe he's autistic, he doesn't know any better, or these things, but you know, you can't go around doing those things. And I think ultimately, you know, the punishment, it is harsh in a way, but it's not the end of the world for him. And hopefully he'll be able to learn from it, come back and play chess. I think that's, you know, all you can really hope for. So yeah, that's my general take is I think it's fine. I think if it was the first time, it would have been different. I mean, without knowing specifics, I can't really say it should be worse, it should be more, it should be less. I mean, but that's my view. And yeah, it's what it is. So autism, I'm not saying that's a gateway to freedom. I never said that. I never said that at all. Never said that at all. But I think, you know, I think he's going to he'll hopefully learn from it. He'll get back to playing chess, and you know, we won't hear about these things again. He's very young. He's what, 17, 18 years old. Everybody in chat who has not done something crazy at 17 or 18 in general, I'm saying in general because I don't want to minimize this, but in general, people can be kind of crazy. So yeah, it's bad. He's getting his punishment. He doesn't get to play chess for basically 18 months from the St. Louis ban through this, and we'll see what the future holds, but hopefully he'll learn from it. And that's that.